All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. This is We Saw That. And the person sitting across from me via camera is someone who, for myself, needs no introduction. This has been my favorite cousin slash best friend since we were knee-high to grasshoppers. He's doing a whole lot of things right now and has a lot of different things going on with his life and going towards different goals and different pursuits. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Battle.
Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be a part of this this event, this project. Same thing that Jovan said for me. Same thing. I'm glad to be a part of this with my brother, my friend, Jovan.
What's happening, everybody? All right, you all. I believe we're going to start things off. Top 5 lists are something that can be very polarizing, something that can have one person feel this way, one person feel that way, but it's something that's unique to the individual and something that I would imagine you have had many hours of cinema reference to put, just to kind of put things into some sort of perspective. So we're going to go from 2 different genres, but you'll still get a bit of an identity of what makes film and how we relate to it. Kevin is going to start, and Kevin, what genre will you be tackling?
I'm going to do thrillers, /suspense.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we're going to do the usual thing like they do, where you'll start with your 5th pick, and then I'll give mine, and we'll kind of work our way up to the top.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So I'll start with number 5 for me. So I looked at some films that I already own. My reason was, if I've spent the money to actually have the thing permanently, then that's definitely something I like. So number 5 for me is Searching with I think the star was John Cho.
Oh my gosh.
With that movie,
okay,
I found, looking over to all the ones that I like, I kind of like the movies where the plot is constructed well, and maybe something in the end refers to something in the beginning, but you just didn't see it at the time.
Oh, that's always good. Yes.
So without giving this movie away, that happened in this film, and that's part of why I like it. I like the acting, the twists I didn't see coming, even though they kind of laid things out as to like who done it, and it's that kind of movie. But that's what I liked about that one a lot. Just the way the plot was constructed and the acting. I thought it was really grounded, even though the whole thing kind of happens online or through screens. So that was an interesting angle. There's a couple of films that do that, and I think this one does it very, very well. So that's my number 5, is Searching.
That's one that I actually wanted to see and never had a chance to. Mm-hmm. So to go straight off of your 5, it's like you've already sold it to me. Now I gotta go and try to find it. So that's one that definitely I knew was coming out, and I knew a little bit about it. But I to this day I have not had a chance to either purchase it or see it online or anything like that. But it is one, based upon what you're saying and what I've read from several sources and watched from a couple of reviews, that it is something that I definitely want to check out. So
I thought it was very good.
Now I'm going to be covering my maybe favorite genre. For all of you horror fans out there, get ready. This is going to be my top 5 in horror. And number 5, I'm going to go to, believe it or not, don't cut my head off, The Exorcist. Now, I've given this list heavy consideration because the funny thing about it is these titles flip-flop in my mind between the 1st and the 5th all the time, but I believe that I put it 5th because although it is very effective, and this is coming from, let's see, I believe it was the 70s, it was 1973. It's still effective to this day. I remember when it came out, I heard that there were a lot of people who were leaving the theater in fear, people who were becoming sick, becoming nauseated. There were people who felt like this was totally evil to even witness or to even watch or anything like that. But we're able to watch a movie and take it into perspective, as in filmmaking, how original it is, how creative it was, the way it was directed, the way the actors played, and still get some good value out of whatever it is. So for this, I felt, first of all, the titular character, the Exorcist, was actually Max von Sydow, who, after you meet in the beginning, you don't see until later on in the movie. And just like you did, I'm going to not give any spoilers as best as possible, but if you haven't seen The Exorcist, let us know in the comments also how you feel about so far about searching and about The Exorcist and where you would have put these things. Once again, our lists are original. They're unique to ourselves. And we want to start some sort of just a conversation about all of these. But I really liked how the drama of the film with Father Damien Karras was. He was a priest who, to make a long story short, had started to lose his faith after the death of his mom. And so him being called into a situation where there was going to have to be an exorcism was difficult for him, because he was almost not being connected with what was supposed to be coming in to give him the power to go into this tumultuous task. But it was very raw. It was really original at the time. And Reagan, which was the character that was, I guess, possessed, she was, like a young girl, I think like 12 or 13 or so, but it was a very good movie. It was really effective. It was one of those that, if you're not really a horror fan, you might have trouble rewatching, because it's one of those that kind of sticks with you. But it's definitely one that, if you've never seen for whatever reason, I would highly recommend it. For some people, I know it'll be number 1 and number 2. But when you see the rest of what I have and why I picked it, I think that it deserves the 5th spot. All right.
Number 4 for me was Inside Man with Denzel Washington. So it's
definitely,
that's another one where I really like the way the plot was constructed.
Yes.
And it was great. I mean, I like the acting from everybody. Denzel, Clive Owen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, pretty much everybody.
Yes.
I think it kind of kept you guessing and kept me guessing. And that's another thing that I liked about it. I kind of like the soundtrack, the way it worked with the movie. I felt like I was there in a real place, because I think it was set. I don't get the city wrong where it was set. I think it's New York.
I believe so. And with Spike Lee being the director, I bet it was.
And I felt like I was there. And I've never been to New York, but I really like the way I guess everything kind of just drew you in. So those are the things that I really, really liked about number 4, which for me is Inside Man. That
was excellent. I remember the first time I saw it, I knew that it was going to be Spike Lee, but the way that it was shot, Spike Lee is funny because he's had a series of movies that he started out with where there was a certain style to his directing. It was a certain way that things were shot, the way that the script work went, the way that the characters moved and all. And as he's gotten later on in his career, he's been able to not abandon some of those things, but to take on a bit more mainstream ideas and the ways that things are shot and all. And that was one that, to be honest, besides maybe his scene where the guy is moving without actually walking, or just the fact that it's Denzel, and maybe 1 or 2 other things, if you didn't know going into it that it was Spike, you probably wouldn't know that he had anything to do with it.
Right.
And then with the fact of it being another one of his Denzel collaborations, the other ones being Mo Better Blues and Malcolm X, it was almost like three's a charm. It's like you've seen the growth of these two, this director and this actor, evolve from the first time all the way up into this. And I mean, Mo Better Blues is one of my favorites. Malcolm X, of course, is, your head could explode.
Right.
But just how good it's just the filmmaking. And Inside Man is definitely one that I could see being on that top 5 list. That's a very, very good pick. Very good pick. Okay, for me, I'm going to go over to Number 4 now. Again, this is one that I had to wrestle with. And this is one also that is the best movie on my list. I won't even say movie, the best film on my list.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that I believe is flawless, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, have felt the same also. Directed by Spielberg, this is Jaws.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, Jaws did something for like the beach and for the ocean that few movies have been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking a whole generation of people and the ones after and having them, even people who don't swim.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I ain't getting in the pool, I ain't getting in the lake, I ain't getting in the jacuzzi.
Right.
Now, this first and foremost was a drama that was led by 3 characters. There was Chief Brody, which was Roy Scheider.
Mm-hmm.
There was Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper, and there was Robert Shaw as Quint.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Roy Scheider was the chief of a small like island town, and he finds out over time that there have been these shark reportings, and there have been an attack or so, which has never happened to this community. And so him being the one that everybody goes to for answers has to go into his detective mode to figure what's going on and what's the deal and what's happening. And so that part of it is like a detective piece with him trying to go through the clues. And there's like, once again, not spoiling anything, but if you haven't seen Jaws, come on. Come on, people. So once again, let me know how you felt about Jaws and if you thought it was here or there. But Jaws to me is almost like a full course meal. You got your potatoes, you got your vegetables, you got your big steak right there, you got your iced tea or whatever it is, and you just it's just perfect filmmaking. So after he goes into his detective mode, to make a long story short, he realizes that it really is a shark, and so he goes to set out to find people who can help him assist with doing whatever they have to do to get rid of it. That's where he meets Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss, which was an amazing performance while subdued.
Right.
And Robert Shaw, who plays Quint, oh my goodness. And he passed away, so respect the dead. Robert gave something to this movie that was wild and bursting with energy. You never knew which direction he was going. The way that he spoke, the way that he moved. This is a seasoned actor playing a seasoned character. And it turns into, towards the latter half of the film, a chase where it's just the 3 of them and the monster. And we heard, I'm sure, behind the scenes that there were a lot of issues with the shark, and the way that it worked and everything. There's actually documentaries on YouTube and other places all about the trouble that they had with getting the shark to work. But it is perfect, superb, supreme movie making. There are others on this list that are my favorites, and so that's why it is where it is. But if I was talking about just the best horror movie ever made, like perfect film, it would have to be number 1. But for me, there are 3 that are up here that are more personal to me, and that's why it is where it is. Okay, so I believe we're... Take it away, sir.
All right, so for me, number 3, Thriller, The Accountant with Ben Affleck and Anna Kendrick. The plot got me. The plot got me. How it starts in the middle, goes later in the past, goes back to the beginning, and it's like, oh, that's who that is. Oh, that's what that was for. Right. So all of those things really work in just keeping me excited, keeping me interested. All the performances were great. The chemistry or lack of chemistry, I guess, between the 2 co-stars was fantastic. Yeah, that was great too. So that's another one that I bought, and I'm glad I bought it because I watch it all the time. So
definitely,
so I'm getting my money's worth.
You gotta get that money's worth, right?
got to. But, so that's number 3 for me, The Accountant.
Now, real quick, how'd you feel about Ben Affleck taking on that role, where it's a lot of things that are like cerebral with his approach. It's a lot of parts to his character, to his acting that if you research the condition that he has, then it begins to make more sense. But he not only has to act this way, but he also has to carry the film. He has to carry the action scenes. He has to make you believe that he really does have this condition. So how did you feel for him being the best person for that job?
I thought he did a very good job. I thought the part where he wasn't like kicking people's tail was
right
was rather nuanced, and I mean it could be a pitfall that his mannerisms become a cliche. I don't think they were. I don't think that what he was doing was distracting. I believe what he was doing was integrated into the whole character, and I thought it was. I believed it. So I thought it did very well. I mean, I could probably come up with some other actors who I think would do as good a job. I think he did a very good job.
Yeah. And then what was the name, real quick before I go? What was the name of the guy who played his brother? He was also the Punisher.
John Bernthal.
Oh man.
I think he was perfect for that part. I almost feel like they lifted him off of the set of the Punisher.
Right.
which worked here, so it didn't bother me. Yeah, I think he was great.
Once again, you guys, with this and with everything else, if you haven't seen The Accountant, come on, people. yes. There's still a lot to be had with it. That's just the surface, but I can totally understand.
That's good.
It was mind blowing the first time I saw it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's my number 3.
Okay. Bouncing back over to me for number 3. This was a film that I saw while I was in high school. It came out in 1992, and there were a couple of the people that I was cool with who went and saw it the day that it came out and came back and told us, "Man, you got to stop what you're doing and see this movie." So the very next chance we got, which was probably like close to the end of the weekend, maybe like a Sunday or so, we went. And part of it was the way that the actor portrayed the monster or whatever you would call it. Part of it was, I'm not even going to talk in riddles anymore. It was Candyman.
Okay.
It was Candyman. Okay. Tony Todd gave a character that was romantic, was dark, was mysterious, was haunting.
Yes.
And now this was by director Bernard Rose, and it was a short story that started with Clive Barker. Long story short, as you probably heard, say his name 5 times in the mirror, and you better not turn around.
Right.
But they're actually doing a remake that has already been finished, and they're just waiting on releasing. And I think it's going to be in like September or something like that. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I heard about that. But
the original has spawned 2 sequels, none of which could even come close to it. It's an African-American man who was killed for having relations with a white woman back a long time ago. And now he's haunting this these apartments called Cabrini Green, which I found out in Chicago actually existed.
Yeah.
And only kind of recently had been torn down and had been, turned into something else or whatever. But part of the fear of the movie, first and foremost, was the area that it was projecting. Cabrini Green was like where the local hoods hung out, drugs were being sold. If you were anyone other than black, you had no business being there and would probably either be robbed or attacked or whatever the case it was. They didn't have a good relation with the police. And so if you didn't belong there, you don't go there. Now add to this horror icon being thrown into the mix that even has the drug dealers and the hoods and the robbers and muggers afraid of him and speaking of him as a legend.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one more legend on my list, but this being the first one of the two, it's always a good thing when you have a chance to come face to face with a legend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm begging, I'm hoping, spoiler review, please, you all, make sure you've seen this movie. I just have to say this, okay? I'm hoping everyone has seen it. Come on now. Okay, to make a long story short, there's a woman who is trying to research to find out if an urban legend really exists or not. She is Caucasian, and she goes into the projects to seek out if this is true. The first thing that she finds out is a legend of someone, a woman called Ruthie Jean. And so everyone is talking about how Ruthie Jean was killed and how heinous it was and how Candyman got another person. And the second I was hearing this, it's like, I don't know what it was, but it's just goosebumps, because they even showed the newspaper clipping that they had created for the movie that made it look like it really happened.
Right.
So you've already got me invested, and this isn't any more than maybe 15 or so minutes into the movie.
Right.
Long story short, there's a drug dealer and some of his little cronies
Mm-hmm.
that assaults the woman after saying that he himself is Candyman. So you as the moviegoer are saying, you know, I hope that this wasn't, I hope it's more to it than this, because he by himself wasn't that scary. And so she, you know, turns him in or whatever the case is, and he gets arrested and everything is cool. Well, one afternoon when she's walking to her car, she hears a voice that you, the audience, hear as the very first verse, that very first voice that you hear in the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And when you know you hear that voice, you know exactly who it is. And so from there it becomes a movie that, like I said, is horrific. It's got its gore, but not that much. Mm-hmm. There aren't that many, you know, kills and everything, but it's just so effective. Mm-hmm. And it resonates with me to this day as one of the favorite. And with it being African American, I mean, and having that lore about it, it's embedded in my skin. So that's one that I definitely had to purchase, and I will be looking forward to September you know, just to see how this remake is. And so that is Candyman.
I'm remembering when it came out so I went to a primarily black high school, and people started believing the legend. And the whole thing about not looking at a mirror and saying his name 5 times, that was something that people would like not want to do or would dare each other to do. So I think that was just an example that, at least in my community, that at least the legend, you know, got into people's minds, because everybody had seen it. So yeah. I just know that was very important film for my community when it came out.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. And last but not least, real quick, Philip Glass was the person who did the music for it.
Okay.
And it is gothic. Mm-hmm. And you hear it before you hear Candyman's voice in the very beginning of the movie, and then you hear it sprinkled throughout. Mm-hmm. But there's one main thing that's like Candyman's thing. If you're at home and the lights are out and you're by yourself, right? The hair on the back of your head, you know, it's rough. It's rough.
Right.
Okay, so I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we have gotten into what is it? The top 2?
Yeah, final 2.
Final 2. The final countdown. All right. So once again, everybody, let us know if you're enjoying it so far, you know, this video. If so, drop a like, hit us up with a comment. Let us know what you think about what we said thus far. And take it away, cousin. What's next for us?
My number 2 thriller is The Awakening. So with Rebecca Hall and Dominic West. And again, the plot. So there was this point where I was looking over like the DVDs that I had, and you know, ask your parents what a DVD is. But I had like 3 DVDs with ghost stories that were about ghost stories, and if I tell the other 2, that's going to spoil them. So sorry, but this is another one. So for this movie, the acting was fantastic. Yeah, I feel like anything I say will be giving it away, but it is a ghost story. But it was I thought it was great. I like the acting, and like both of the main actors, Rebecca Hall, Dominic West. I like the setting because it was set primarily at an orphanage or a boys' home.
Oh, okay.
So it definitely had a few creepy moments, which I thought were understated, but done very well. There were a couple scenes with a model of a house that I'm not going to spoil, but I thought were the creepiest things ever.
Wow.
I think that's my favorite scene in the movie. There's all I will say is like there's a model of a house.
Oh my gosh.
Real creepy, done really, really well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. That's my number 2.
God.
Is Awakening.
That model of the house almost takes me to Hereditary.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Yes.
I really thought what they did with that house was very, very, very well done in The Awakening. But yeah, that you said that it makes me think of that. It wasn't executed the same way, but that's one I think really, really great scene that I think happened in Awakening.
And that's one that you were trying to put me on to. Another one that I haven't seen, but I've heard about, and with talking to you a bit off camera, once again, you sold one of your top 5 to me that somehow got under my radar. So I want to make sure I pinpoint that in the future. And whether I have to get that from you or see if it's online or something, I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, it's I think my DVDs are all I am replacing them with stuff that's streaming. So I don't have any more DVDs.
Gotcha. Bygone era, right?
Exactly. Nor do I have any VHS tapes or Betamax or HX. They're all gone. So
Betamax. Oh, you took me blast from the past.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna go. This time, this is number 2, and I'm sure my slasher fans will also agree that this is either your number 1 or your number 2. This for me is the number 2. One of the first movies to be named and based around the theme of a particular, I guess, October, autumn, pumpkins, trick or treat, Halloween. Okay.
That's it.
All right. Now it's ironic too that a couple of the ones that I've been naming have been from like the 70s or so. And so that's something that we will come back to later in this conversation about what makes a perfect horror film. And I believe that a lot of the way that things were being filmed around then resonate to this day. But we'll go into that. 1978 brought from John Carpenter the Boogeyman of sorts. Also gave us Jamie Lee Curtis. I believe it may have been her first film. And the name of the character, the Boogeyman, was none other than Michael Myers. Michael Myers had a mask that they created from the face of William Shatner. I think it was like it was a Star Trek mask. And they painted it all white. And I know that's sad for William Shatner. That I mean, if you make a mask out of my face and paint it white or whatever color, I'm gonna be mad. But that just goes to show how things can be simple and still be effective.
Yes.
This was one of the slasher like grandpas that gave birth to your Friday the 13th and Sleepaway Camps and other ones of that ilk, where it's a hatchet, a machete, a knife, or whatever it is. And with him, it was just whatever kitchen knife that he found when he was young, believe it or not, as a small boy, and killing his sister in the very beginning of the movie, and then being locked up in like a sanitarium for whatever years, where he meets Donald Pleasant's character, and his name is Samuel Loomis. Now it's funny because a lot of people feel this when I do too. Loomis is, throughout the course of the movie, almost as crazy, if not crazier, than Michael himself.
Right.
Which kind of has it, I guess, two forces what did they say? The unstoppable force and the unmovable object
Yep.
meeting. And he's warning everyone that Michael is more than just hysterical, more than just crazy. He's evil.
Mm-hmm.
And evil personified, in fact. And the way that John Carpenter, who was the one that directed it, came up with the score, it is haunting, and it's another one of those ones, just like Jaws, just like Friday the 13th, that the second that you hear it, you know it belongs to that movie.
Yep.
This is one that I saw when I was way too young to be watching movies like this. And I'm sure that everybody knows how it went in the story and all of that good stuff, but it was remade in the 2000s by Rob Zombie, and we won't talk about that. But all I'm gonna say, right? All I'm gonna say is, I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you feel the way that I feel. Horror movie fans, let us know what you think. Number 2 for me, Halloween.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the to the sangria of sorts, the number 1 spot. And my cousin is going to take it away with the thriller / suspense. What have we got going on?
My number 1 is The Arrival. So the one from 2016 with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. So not the other one with Charlie Sheen.
Right.
Which is all right. Yeah, which is all right. But yeah, the 2016 one. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, and I'm sure I ruined the pronunciation, but he's
he is an amazing director.
All them other ones that I like.
Yes.
So yeah. So for this one, again, the plot is great. I liked. I thought it was it has been described as cerebral, which I agree with, but not so much that you feel stupid watching it. I think they all the concepts are introduced very well. I like, of course, the theme about communication. Really great, really resonant. The lead actors, fantastic. Their chemistry or lack thereof, great.
Amy Adams can do no wrong.
Oh yeah, she is one of my favorite actors. Yeah, she's great, and she was great in this. Yeah, I like the way they portrayed the aliens. I like how the aliens actually seemed alien, because so often I think sometimes movies that feature like aliens or robots really are like, where aliens are like a guy, a person in a funny suit.
Yeah, a humanoid
funny suit.
Yeah.
Or a robot is a person with a funny voice.
Right.
But they're still really like a person, and they act like a person. They just have a funny voice.
Take me to your leader.
These aliens seemed like aliens, even down to the fact that you can't be in the same room with them because they have, a different atmosphere, all that stuff. Just that was a very small part about just how alien is seen, and the whole communication thing was a big hurdle throughout the entire film. Not just between the humans and the aliens, but between the humans and each other, which is, there you go. So that's, that's the moral of the story of this very special episode. But it was all great. I liked it a lot. It's one that I paid for so that I can keep watching it whenever I feel like watching it, which is from time to time. But
I find that every time that I watch it, I find something new.
Yes.
And it's either with the correspondence between the humans and the aliens. Sometimes it's something that Amy does. Other times it's Jeremy, but it's just, and it's creepy. And it's not creepy in the sense of trying to be scary just for the sake of scares.
Right.
It's genuinely mysterious, and there's just something about it. But it has one of the better endings that I've seen in a while in that particular type of film.
Yeah.
And the day that it came out on Blu-ray, I had to snag that up. So I find it every time, like you said, I find it every time I've watched it after it's equally, if not more, rewarding each time.
This is a movie that has made me want to go read the book that it was based on.
I didn't even know it was a book.
Yeah, it's based on a book. I believe it's called The 3-Body Problem, and I need to go get it and read it.
Wow.
But it's
I see why I could be named that.
Effective. Yeah, I feel it was that effective that I want to read more about this whole thing, this whole issue, this whole setting. So that's my number one, The Arrival.
Gosh. Oh man. Okay, number one for me. No need for to do my usual lead up. It's Friday the 13th, Part 2. Friday the 13th started off. Please, everyone, let me know that you've seen this. It's from 1981. Steve Miner was the director. Now, in the first one, spoiler, Jason's mother was the one actually doing the killing.
Yeah.
So the person who killed her, the one woman who survived that long night of terror, was in the beginning of this one. And now Jason comes and within the first maybe 7 or so minutes of the movie, kills her, gets his revenge for his mom. And so now the rest of the movie, he can do whatever he wants to do, which I found to be that much more spot on because I didn't have to wait until the end or an hour and a half plus movie to see him avenge her. So from there, now you find out, as I said before with Candyman, this is the other one with the legend, where he is the stuff of campfire fodder, where they're passing around stories of don't go into his woods. Now this is the Jason before he dons the hockey mask that he picked up from Part 3 and had up until. And so he has a bag over his head and he's disfigured and one of his eyes is pointing to the North Star or wherever. So he's got one hole in the mask for the good eyes for him to see out of. And this is the number one. This is the machete killer. There's a group of people that are going to be counselors at Camp Blood, which is originally Camp Crystal Lake. And they all come before all of the teenagers and all come to figure out what needs to be done and what programs are going to set up and whatnot. I like to explore this film into a bit more history than what was on the screen, as in saying, this was around the time that people felt that all the teens wanted to do was have sex, smoke pot, get drunk, and be arrogant and unruly, and not have anything to give to society. These were people who deserved to be slaughtered because they didn't have anything to give to those decent tax-paying citizens. So this is a look at how society viewed teens at that time, because we have nothing else to do with you but have you led like lambs to the slaughter. So when you look at it that way, Jason becomes the figure that drives the shank or the knife for all of society. So, of course, you know, you're going to have your kids and they're going to be unruly. They're going to run all through his woods and one by one they get taken down. The crazy thing about it was he kept his mother's head in a shack that he created and not maybe worshipped it or whatever, but just came back to her from time to time just to make sure mom's doing all right or whatever. But but I really love the that first started, I believe, from there. And it had an ending that to this day, and I've seen this movie probably well more than 60 or 70 times, still gets me. It's definitely one that I've always had as my number one, and I'm sure I always will.